Hey, welcome back to Album April. It's April 5th, and today I listened to Play by Moby. Happy Easter, by the way. We got another 90s album today, this one from 1999. I don't remember if I just wanted to find Moby's most popular album or if this album came up in 90s electronic albums, but either way, this is generally considered to be both his best and his first really successful album. I know almost nothing about Moby. I've known about him for a while. I know that he's an electronic music artist. Mostly, I just really like the cover of We're All Made of Stars made by Hidden Citizens and Tim Halperin, which is the most hype song I've ever heard in my life, but it also doesn't really sound like the original, so yeah. Anyway, I checked out this album, and this is the first album of this album, April, that I will give 2 thumbs up to. I thought it was very good. It really reminded me of, Daft Punk, Homework era Daft Punk. It has been so long since I listened to Homework for me to tell you whether or not I think that this is better, but one thing I will say right off the bat, Homework has 16 tracks, whereas this album has 18, and it's also 10 to 15 minutes longer. I really appreciate the way that Moby doesn't decide to overstay his welcome on any of these songs. The longest they get is maybe 4.5 minutes. And while up to now I can only talk about a handful of songs that I thought were really good, and this album, all the songs I thought were really good. Looking through the track list, there's none of these songs, except for arguably the ones that are only about a minute long, that I wouldn't rate a 7 out of 10 or higher. The word that I kept going back to in my mind while listening to it is floaty. Maybe it's a combination of usually a very strong, very clear beat and very soft or relaxed sounding vocals on top. And usually about 2/3 of the way through the song, synth pads that sound like violins comes in. And for me, as a music listener, that's a cheat code. A lot of it kind of feels like a more stripped down, bluesy version of synthwave. I would consider most of the songs on this album to be instrumentals, including a lot of the ones that actually have words in it. Because most of the time, it's not even a set of lyrics that were written for this song, it's this very, very short vocal sample that they just loop over and over, but they also keep expanding on the sound around that vocal loop. Honey is a good example of that, so is Run On and Find My Baby. And even for the songs that do have a set of lyrics that were made for that song, like Southside or The Sky is Broken, the vocals are clearly not meant to really be the focus. Sometimes it's not even singing, it's literally just talking. It's a great recipe. I think it makes a lot of great music if this album is anything to go by. But funnily enough, my favorite song on the entire album is markedly different from all the others. Okay, maybe it's not that different, but anyway, my favorite song from Play was Body Rock, which definitely had strong influences from both rock and hip-hop. If the other songs on this album feel like floating, this is more like soaring. The guitars and the vocal sample and those violins again, they all work together to make something so just good to listen to. It scratches all the itches in my alt-rock lizard brain. It actually does kind of feel like an odd one out on this album, and apparently Moby's managers encouraged him not to include it on the album, saying that it sounded tacky, which I find offensive, and also that it sounded like a Fatboy Slim ripoff, which, yeah, they kind of do have a point there. It definitely is reminiscent of songs like Praise You or Right Here, Right Now. But I'm glad they decided to keep it anyway, because even though this album still would have been very good without it, this elevates it even further. A lot of times for Album April, I'll look for what fans consider to be a band or artist's best album, and I'll listen to it, and I won't really be that impressed, and it won't make me want to listen to anything more from them, at least in the form of Album April. That is not the case with Moby. I am definitely adding him to the rotation. I am absolutely going to be listening to music from this album after today. Overall, Play gets my stamp of approval. I thought it was great. Thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.